Hello and a warm welcome back. Today on the bench is a Pioneer SA8800 amplifier. Let's talk about capacitors. As you see there on this meter, I've got my DC power supply set to 30 volts just going into one of the capacitors, which is disconnected from the amplifier, and what we're reading there is microamps. That's the leakage current, and if you watch it long enough, I know this is really boring, I mean that's alright at the moment, right? That's what, a few microamps, but occasionally it sort of shoots up to about 11 microamps, which, I mean, for an old electrolytic still isn't that bad. Earlier on I measured the ripple voltage with the amplifier powered up, and I was getting about 14 milliamps across each cap. The 10,000 microfarad caps, yeah, and my capacitance meter won't read them. I think it only goes up to about 4,000, maybe 5,000 microfarads, so it can't do it. Check the ESR. ESR's okay. However, I've been through the amplifier and checked most of the capacitors. Most of them are knackered. I have some on order from DigiKey, the ones that I hadn't got, but I've replaced a few that I had got in my stash. And every one, I measured every single one. They were all high capacitance wise. So say something like a 470 microfarad capacitor would read something like 519 microfarads. That's a sure sign that the cap is toast. Well, this is a week or more later after having sourced some replacement capacitors and waiting for them to come from America. I've already recapped this board and most of the amplifier. However, let's talk about finding caps to replace the ones that were there. So a lot of the caps that were in there are these Elna. A lot of them were Elna. Don't really say much, just says CERB. CERB. I've seen them, people looking online, these are dated 1973. So a lot of these were like that series off the equalizer board. Right, well, I looked online to see if I could find out the specs of these or what people recommended. So some of the old threads, like on Audiocom or DIY Audio and whatnot, they suggest a series of capacitors to replace them. However, since those threads were posted a few years back, those capacitors that they recommended have now also gone out of production. So we don't know what we're looking for. We don't know what specification exactly. The best guess is that these are low leakage, low ESR types. So I looked online, DigiKey, Element 14 Farnell, Mauser, endlessly searching to try and find something that would fit, and after hours of searching I just settled on what are they, Rubicon YXJ series, and they are long life, 105 degree, 4,000 to 10,000 hours long life, as mentioned. Not particularly noted for the good leakage, low leakage or anything, but that's what I decided to go for. This board and this board are reasonably straightforward to recap without undoing all the wires, disconnecting anything. I could recap it. However, the amplifier modules, the power amplifier modules, is a whole different ball game. Without a wire wrapping tool, you can get them, but they're very expensive, and I don't want to spend 50 quid on a tool that I'm hardly ever going to use. Without disconnecting those, all I could do was take off this bracket here, this bracket here, move the board away and then get my soldering iron in just and do it that way. Not the proper way to go about it at all. Luckily they're just all in a line on this side here. There's only 3. However, this one was pretty straightforward, this one's straightforward. The one underneath was an absolute pig to get in. And I haven't done the right hand side power amp yet, just this one. So next I powered it up. This is after powering it up on a lamp limiter to make sure that I had protection in case I'd reverse polarity, in case I'd put in a capacitor reverse polarity. So let's test it and see how it's performing now that I've recapped it. Right, as you can see there, we've still got the issue on the left hand side channel. The audio analyzer it just can't get a reading at all. We're getting a lot of jumping about, and I don't know what that is. I'm going to investigate further, talk about that in a minute. So as you can see, that's all over the place. Just see if we got an output. Right, and that's gone in. Right, it went out of protection. And it's gone back in. Right, let me have a look at the other channel. We have a nice sine wave coming out the right hand sine channel. 1.5 volts RMS, THD 0.12. That's looking good. Let's have a look at the left hand channel. Okay, that's looking alright. And it's not jigging about. Let me turn the volume down. Right, okay, that instability, that's stopped. And we're getting a noise reading of about 10 millivolts. Right, let's have a look at the tone circuit. That's me switch it in and out. Oh, I also cleaned a lot of the switches and pots. There's still a few to do, however they're yeah, there we go, it's jumping about again. Yeah, there's still a few to do, but they're hard to get at without dismantling. Right, I don't expect it to do much at 1 kHz. Try 100 Hz. Right, now the bass reducing and making it big. Let me check the other channel is doing the same. Yeah, so the bass works okay. Let's try a high frequency. As soon as I put, right, yeah, that was the protection circuit dropping out again. Still got an issue there. Right, so 10 kHz, right hand side channel. Boost, cut. See what we got on the left. Boost, cut. Right, that's working better than it was. It's gone into protection again. It sort of goes, it comes out of protection and goes in protection. So recapping some of the PCBs, especially the equalizer board, seems to have fixed some of the issues I was getting with the variation between left and right channel tone controls. That seems to be okay. However, we've still got this problem with this protection circuit playing silly buggers. In an effort to try and understand the actual protection circuit, I'd drawn out one earlier on. This was from the 8800 manual. However, I think the one in the 8500 manual is the actual one that is in this amplifier. To be able to see things clearer, I'm doing this on the computer because my hand-drawn schematic is a little bit hard to see clearly. So one of the problems I've had with this amplifier is actually finding a schematic that corresponds to what is actually in the amplifier. This is made more difficult because the actual PCBs in the amplifier have no markings on, you know, there's no Q3, C4 or whatever on there, it's no markings whatsoever. This is the simplified protection circuit from the SA8800. This is the protection circuit from the SA8500. As you see, it has more transistors and there's more going on, but essentially there's three different components to it. We have this section here which uses a resistor that's on the power amplifier board as a sensing resistor, and it measures the voltage across here and here, and that detects any overcurrent situation. We have this section here, and this section looks for a DC offset in the amplifier. There is one more section which we'll look at in a second, but before we go there, and then these last three transistors here, they are actually what drives the relay. One thing I noticed earlier on, that there is no power light coming on when you switch the amplifier on, and then I noticed after looking at this schematic that the on lamp actually supplies part of the voltage for the protection circuit. So this here, this line here coming from this 11K is coming from the on off power lamp, and it's an AC voltage, and I think it's rectified by this diode here, thus giving us minus 8.8 volts here. And what that does, when we turn the amplifier on, there is a slight delay, which means the relay isn't engaged and it's not connecting the power amplifier to the speakers, so it protects like that. Sometimes you get an on thump, and it also makes the relay drop out quickly when you power it off, so we don't get an off thump. So my thinking was, okay, if the lamp's not working, then therefore we're not getting voltages here. This is the wiring to the on lamp. Part of it comes from this board here, and part of it goes to a tap from one of the transformers. And essentially this end has a couple of drop-in resistors. The lamp that came out was open circuit. It says on it, Stanley 8 volts 0.05 amps, so 50 milliamps. Looked online, although Stanley, the light bulb people, I think still make lamps, although they've diversified a bit, these are no longer available. After looking through all my various sort of light bulbs I had, nothing was really suitable. However, I did have this old you know, lights that people put in bushes at this time of year. These though are 3 volts 30 milliamps, and after some testing and what have you, I found that these would work. So I replaced the Duff one with another one of these, put a bit of heat shrink onto the ends of the bulb there. That bulb, which I think is called a wheat germ bulb, fits in a rubber grommet that sits next to the on-off switch here. That restored the relay on-off and it wasn't going in and out of protection so much. So from what I can see, and doing a bit more testing on the protection circuit, taking some voltages and whatnot, that seems to be working okay. However, there is one major problem left, and I'll try and demonstrate that now. I have the camera pointed at the relay here, got power on off switch off. I shall click it on, and then hopefully should hear the relay come on after a brief amount of time. There we go. I'm going to turn it off now, and it should drop out pretty quickly. Right, I'm not quite sure if you heard that. I'll go again, and this time I'll turn it off from my variac. The relay on. Right, and you should have heard that. So that's turned off. Right, so as far as I can see, after doing a bit more testing, the protection circuit is less jittery and not going in and out of protection all the time. So next, let's connect it up to the speakers, and I'll show you the problems that we have still. I have the left hand side speaker connected to this test speaker. I'm hoping you can hear that. I'm going to turn the volume up. I hope you could hear that. I'm just going to turn that off. So there's some rustling, which I think points to maybe some transistors in one of the power amplifiers, but I really need to go through and test it properly to find out if it is the power amplifier. Yeah, crackling really bad. So we have problems, Houston, as it said back in the day. There's a hideous crackling, you know, something seriously wrong. I think it's confined to the left hand power amplifier. That is going to have to come out, and we'll deal with that in the new year. As it's Christmas Eve at the moment, I'm trying to get this out for you all to watch, because I haven't put one out for a little while. So thank you very much, all of you, for watching through this video and at all my other videos that I post throughout the year. Have a good holiday, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. Take care of yourselves. See you in the new year. All the best. Ta-ra for now.